What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And today, not the review I was intending on doing, but because I couldn't find the Hyrax album to listen to anywhere, and I saw this was coming out and I've been hearing a lot of hype around it, I am decided to talk about the latest offering from Pissgrave, Malignant Worthlessness. This also came out on February 21st, this time on Profound Lore Records, and this is the band's third studio full-length overall. I actually did check out their last album, Posthumous Humiliation, which, I will be honest, I am not a fan of that album. I thought the production was really bad. It was just way too noisy and just too unwieldy for my taste at that time. So yeah, this band hasn't really been favorable in my personal opinion, but that has changed a little bit. Now that we got this new album, this is their first one in 6 years since Posthumous Humiliation, so they've obviously had more time to grow and come up with some new stuff they can do. And, well, I will go ahead and say this is far better than Posthumous Humiliation, in my opinion. Of course, this album is produced by Arthur Risk, who has done the other stuff for Pissgrave, but you wouldn't know if it was an Arthur Risk production unless you had to look it up, because it doesn't quite sound like an Arthur Risk production, at least in my mind. When you hear an Arthur Risk production, you can tell it's an Arthur Risk production. But regardless, kicking things off with In Heretic Blood Christened, starts off with these gnarly tremolos and blast beats, which tremolos and blast beats are one of the big gears on this album. It's like this album has about 3 gears going for it. It's got the gnarly tremolos and blasts, triplet chugs galore, and groove. Those are the primary elements you're getting across the board on this entire album. I'll talk more about the production when I get to the end, but here on this opening track, it gets groovy, there's awesome chugs, it even gets a little bit thrashy in certain spots, and of course triplet chugs and lumbering groove, which lumbering grooves come in on a few tracks to kind of shake up the groove, where sometimes it's a standard mid-tempo groove, and then you get a more slower, simmering, lumbering groove. I wouldn't call it doom, but you get what I mean once you listen to something off of this. 3 Degrees of Darkness, this one I feel goes straight for gnarly, chaotic death metal. Hate Eternal was really a band I got reminded of with these tremolos and triplet chugs going on. Definitely made me think of a band like Hate Eternal, and I'm thinking early Hate Eternal, Conquering the Throne, I believe that was the name of the first album, something along those lines. But it's very savage, and also brings in another tiny gear that this has, and that's atonal guitars. There are some occasional spots of atonal guitars that come up here and there on the album. Lead work wise, the album, there's only a few moments, but it's all big giant squealy dive bombs like Slayer, or hell, even Morbid Angel to a lesser extent. But when we keep going throughout the album, then to the title track, weird, eerie ambient effects at the beginning, but then it does get into groove with chugging riffs and tremolos on top of that groove. Some sinister atonal riffs come in here, and then into heaping pile of electrified gore. Kind of a strange rhythm to start it off. It almost feels like a triplet chug, but it's going a little bit too fast. After the third snare hit of 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3, it just kind of sounds like they're going for it too quick. It almost makes it sound a little bit sloppy, in my opinion, when it came to the starting rhythm of this track. But then it does get into the barrage of nice, evil, low-end tremolos and blasts. And this is definitely one, the whole album is aggressive, but the song itself here felt even more aggressive than most of the others. And then there's also some galloping rhythms happening, and some spoken word at the end, which I thought was really weird. And then we get into Dissident Amputator. Now, I will say, Dissident Amputator, Interment Orgy, and Ignominy of Putrefaction, these 3 songs all in a row kind of run into each other in terms of one key trope that these 3 songs have, and that's tremolos on top of groove. Granted, they change up the grooves. Like Dissonant Amputator has a bit more of that like low, slow, lumbering groove with tremolos on top. And it does start off a little bit more chuggy and also some thrashy beats. And then Intermittent Orgy kind of goes for more machine gun riffs as opposed to like chugs the whole way through. And then Ignominy of Putrefaction, dare I say, gets a little bit blackened. Like there's some blackened tremolos. So yeah, it's like each of those three songs bring in something different, but the one trope kind of back to back did make the songs kind of run in together. So I'll talk more about that when I get to the criticisms. Lamentation of Weeping Wounds, dare I say, this one gets almost blackened death metal. Like the tremolos kind of go in between low end and high end. Again, more of those lumbering grooves. And the one lead, quote unquote, it does feel a little more dynamic. It's not so much about the big squealy dive bombs. And then the closing track, the longest track of the album, Mystical Obscenities, this one just goes right for the jugular when it comes to triplet chugs, tremolos, and blasts, but also lots of crawling riffs. Although the song and the album ends kind of weird with this like staticky exploding noise that I just was like, that's really how you want to end this? Which gets into the criticisms that I have about the album, is how it ended with that. And then of course, you know, like I was prefacing earlier with Dissonant Amputator, Intermittent Orgy, I should say, and Ignominy of Putrefaction, with those songs having the same trope of like slow groove and tremolo on top. I feel like, again, they run into each other. I feel like if you spread those songs out on the album, spread them apart, not like spreading your ass apart, but like separate them on the album, I think the flow of the album would have been a lot better. Then the two major criticisms that I have on here. First, the vocals. I am not a big fan of the vocals on here. I know they're doing like the high-low blend, but with how it just sounds buried in the mix, it just comes off as unlistenable at times. And then the final criticism is, again, the production. While it's better than Posthumous Humiliation, it's still, like, I get they're going for a raw, grisly, gritty sound, but it sounds too staticky. It just, you know, I need more dynamics when it comes to the production. That's kind of what I want out of a death metal album, is a little bit more of a dynamic production. It can still be raw, but I need to be able to tolerate it a little more. But overall, the songs themselves were really good. Like, the songs themselves, the way they're put together, there's some nice riff changes. They're going for all the great death metal tropes that I love. But the criticisms that I have really dragged this album down, in my opinion. But I'm going to be fair. I'm going to give this a 3 out of 5. I do think, song-wise, this is a really good album. But those criticisms, I should say, that I have dragged this album down to a 3 out of 5. It's still a decent album, no doubt, but I don't know. Like, I just can't really get into this style of production for this band. It's just not for me. Song-wise, though, really good stuff. I will give them that. They are getting better musically, and I hope they continue to get better musically, but please, I need a better production. You have Arthur Risk, and we know how good Arthur Risk is as a producer. Hell, I might get to interview him very soon. But, yeah, just, I don't know. But still, it's a decent album, 3 out of 5. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.